Cinema Shogun here, and ever since Bryan Kohbeger got arrested, I've seen a lot of people comparing him to other infamous unalivers from our past. I've seen a lot of people comparing him to Ted Bundy. I've seen a lot of people saying that he has the same eyes as Adam Lanza. And others say that he looks exactly like that one guy who ate that couple's face off in Florida. And of course, there is the one most famous comparison of all. The fact that he looks just like a younger Frollo from the Disney movie Hunchback of Notre Dame. But once it was revealed that Bryan Kohbeger actually studied under Katherine Ramsland, everyone immediately thought that there may be a connection between Bryan Kohbeger and the BTK unaliver. Now, if you don't know who Katherine is, she is a forensic psychologist who spent years interviewing the BTK unaliver. She actually wrote a very interesting book about him. She's, she knows him better than probably anyone on this earth, better than his own family members. So once we found out that Bryan was studying under her, and of course, Bryan's accused of doing what he did to those students in Idaho, people started drawing the connections. Oh, maybe Bryan has been corresponding with this guy as well, just like his teacher. Did Bryan form some type of obsession with BTK? Was Bryan inspired by BTK? I think these are all valid questions that people are asking now that we know that Bryan literally studied under the BTK expert, who we know has corresponded back and forth with BTK in prison for years. And then, in a shocking twist of events, BTK's daughter came out and said that she believes that there's a possibility that Bryan has been talking to BTK and that he's been writing letters to BTK. And I think that that was that piece of information that made everyone start going wild. You know what I mean? Because I don't know how to explain it, but when you look into true crime, it's like people are always waiting for something like that. That mind-blowing piece of news that's kind of like, oh my God, what in the heck? It had that effect on me as well. I mean, knowing that Bryan had this history of studying what he studied, knowing the line of work that he was planning on going in, knowing what he was studying in college, it all makes you feel kind of icky when you see what Bryan's accused of. But then when you take it one step further and you know that he was literally under the tutelage of the BTK expert, it definitely raises some questions in people's minds. But now the BTK killer has, I said that word I'm not supposed to say on YouTube. The BTK unaliver has actually responded to all of this. Has he been talking to Kohbeger? Or has he not? We will find out in just a moment, but first, let's randomly give away $50 to one of my followers on Swagit. So Cindy, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. You must have a Cash App, and I will get that money over to you ASAP. This isn't even Swagit giving away this money. This is my own money. But don't worry, everyone. We still have a $100 giveaway going on, and it's not too late to join. All you got to do is download the Swagit app. It will be the link will be down in the comments of this video. Download the Swagit app. Follow me, Cinema Shogun. You're automatically entered into the $100 giveaway, and hopefully we'll be giving away even more money, and this is an easy way to support my channel. But let's go ahead and hop right into this article. Let's see what the BTK unaliver has to say about all of this, because everyone is throwing his name out there and he's in jail like, Let's see what he has to say. The BTK serial unaliver shoots down daughter's claims. Says that Bryan Kohbeger never, ever contacted him. The notorious BTK serial unaliver is pouring cold water on the idea floated by his own daughter that he has a link to the Idaho suspect Bryan Kohbeger. BTK fired off an email from prison after we reached out to him about a recent News Nation article claiming Kohbeger may have communicated with him through DeSales University professor Catherine Ramsland. Kohbeger, a Washington State grad student, had previously studied at DeSales under Ramsland, who was a famous true crime author and penned a book about the BTK unaliver. In his January 5th message to us, BTK says no on Kohbeger all around. In response to his daughter, Carrie Rawson, telling NN reporter Bryan Enton she was pretty shocked there was potentially a connection between Kohbeger and her father. Rawson also said she thought Bryan was likely influenced by BTK since he studied under Ramsland. On this point, BTK agreed. Okay, so BTK is agreeing. Let's pause right there. BTK is shooting down the allegations about him possibly being in contact with Kohbeger. He says he has no contact with Kohbeger. Now, is BTK an honest source for information? I don't know. I mean, I don't trust the guy. Do you trust BTK? Probably not. But hey, I'm going to take this guy's word for it for right now, which kind of feels weird, taking the BTK's unaliver's word for something. But he does think it's a possibility that Bryan was somewhat inspired by him. He thinks it's possible that Bryan studied him, which I think that's basically a logical conclusion to come to, that if Bryan is studying under the literal expert of the BTK unaliver, that maybe he knows about BTK and has studied BTK as well. But, you know, I it's one of those situations where I feel like BTK is probably honored that people are looking into him. But let's just go ahead and go back into the article before I make myself throw up. On this point, BTK agreed, stating, "I had thought that someone may have to study me." He also gave props to the Idaho investigators for nabbing a suspect. BTK went on to share his personal torment about not connecting with his family. "My family doesn't communicate with me at all. I love them all very much and would be happy if one did." As you know, BTK, real name Dennis Rader, unalived 10 people during his sexually motivated rampage in Wichita, Kansas from 1974 to 1991. He wrote taunting letters to the media, giving himself the moniker Bind, Torture, Kill. He was finally captured in 2005 and confessed to the slayings, leading to his conviction. He is currently serving 10 life sentences. Whew. So, if you're unfamiliar with who BTK is, I'm not going to suggest that you look into him. But, I mean, if you're interested in true crime and you're interested in this type of stuff, man, I don't even want to talk about the type of stuff that you're going to uncover looking through that one. Go ahead, trigger warning. If you want to look into BTK, trigger freaking warning. And he's one of those people, like they mentioned, who would like leave little clues and tips and like taunt officers and stuff. It was really weird. It's the type of stuff you only see in movies. You understand? But Bryan Kohbeger possibly being inspired by this guy, I mean, I don't want to say that I believe that he was inspired by him per se, But I do think that Bryan had that, probably an unhealthy obsession with people like BTK. I don't know if Bryan wanted to become that type of an infamous person, himself. Or that's where I'm really struggling with this case right now, because there's so much stuff here that would suggest that Bryan wanted to become this type of figure. That Bryan studied these type of things because he wanted to ultimately become that type of person and do what he's alleged of doing. But also there's signs here that this may have just been, something personal that Bryan had against some of those people in that house. And I really don't want to speculate too much, but I'm really torn on it. I'm really torn on believing it I'm torn on if this was, it's hard to really put it into words, because we know that Bryan watched these people and that makes it feel personal, but I don't know if it was personal for Bryan or if it was just, I picked these people out. These are the people I'm going to go after. Or was there something there? Did Bryan, feel some type of way about someone? So that's where I'm really torn, because when you look at Bryan's history, like there's so much stuff there, or you look at Bryan's studies and stuff, there's so much stuff there that would suggest that Bryan was studying to become this person, regardless of whoever he went after. You understand what I'm trying to say? But who knows? We'll find out in due time. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I will talk to you all in the next video.